Thank you all very much. Thank you. If you're standing to get warm, still stand, but otherwise, you're very nice. Have a seat. Let me start off by saying, Dave, thank you for having us here at Owen Steel. You know, I'm often characterized by the president as the kid who grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Well, I moved from Scranton, Pennsylvania when I was a kid to a little town called Claymont, Delaware, which was a major steel town back in those days when I moved there along the Delaware River, just on the Pennsylvania border. And the thing that I knew about, it was called Worth Steel then, the thing that I knew about that steel company was it provided an awful lot of decent middle-class jobs that parents could raise their kids on and dream about their kids going to college, dream about their kids having a future even better than theirs. They went through a tough period. Cheap steel from China, a lot of exports, a lot of unfair trade practices and the rest. And the end result was an awful lot of American steel got crushed in the 70s and in the 80s. But not here. And I was proud to learn today that I have a connection with Owen Steel. My little hometown of Claymont, Delaware, they're just in the process of buying a piece of that operation left up there, and they got employees up in Claymont, Delaware. So I feel a kind of connection. Jim has pointed out, and Jim is a good friend, has been a good friend for a long time. This is going to sound strange to you, but I sort of cut my eye teeth on politics in South Carolina, because I sat with one guy on my right, and he was on my physical right, but not on the right, a guy named Fritz Hollins, who helped me through a lot of difficult times when I lost my family, and he and Pete were great friends and great supporters of Jim. But a guy sat to my left for over 30 years was Old Strom Thurman. And so I found myself getting whipsawed between I came to South Carolina for more things than I've ever done in any state but the state of Delaware. Because Old Strom would sort of say, Joe, you mind going to Clemson for my institute? What the heck was I going to say? No, I don't mind. The point was I've gotten to know this state a little bit over the last 35 years, and I've observed one thing. First of all, you elect a heck of a crop of people here, and Steve, I don't know why you moved from the legislature to mayor. Mayor's a real job, man. That's a real job. That's one where everybody knows where you live, and you got to get it done. But you're doing an incredible job. Steve has been a great friend of mine. But look, one of the things I've observed, and I've watched it since I got elected as a 29-year-old kid to the United States Senate 300 years ago, and that is that I've watched South Carolina grow. I've watched South Carolina grow in ways that this is a different state than in 1974, my first visit here. This is a different state than it was in 84 or 94. This is a state with unlimited potential, and it continues to attract the attention of the country. And but like an awful lot of states, probably almost every state, but states in the South, it finds ourselves in a position where as you grow, as it grows and no longer is only agriculture, although that's the biggest industry in my state and a main part of what I care about, as it grows, it needs a 21st century infrastructure in which to grow. I just was in the port of Charleston with Secretary Fox and Mayor Riley, one of the great mayors in America, to talk about the importance of port infrastructure, which is part of the overall transportation infrastructure. That port of yours is responsible for over 265,000 jobs right here in the state of South Carolina, right in South Carolina. It's the reason why manufacturing is no longer leaving South Carolina, but coming back to South Carolina. Representative Mack knows more about this than I can tell him, but the truth of the matter is, South Carolina in the 21st century is taking on the possibility of a fundamentally different place that had the economy than it did 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so we talk about infrastructure. The fact of the matter is we're here for a junction you guys call malfunction junction. But as the Secretary said, there's a lot of malfunction junctions all around America. And the irony of all ironies is, I have been doing infrastructure for a long time. I've been introduced by all the North American ports and all their directors. I spoke to them down in Houston. And the guy introducing me said, I Googled Biden and infrastructure, and I got 60,000 hits. Well, the truth of the matter is we need a lot more than 60,000 hits around this country to move this country. We rank 28th in the world. Hear me now, the United States of America ranks 28th in the world in modern infrastructure. We shouldn't rank 28th in the world in anything that needs to be done for a country. But it's not only the commerce, it's the jobs. The middle class built this country. And they built it on their shoulders, building the infrastructure of this country. Every president, from George Washington on, has initiated major structural projects that change the nature of America. In the middle of a civil war, Abraham Lincoln could have cared less in terms of what the Civil War meant about what would happen in the state of Washington or out in Idaho. He came up with $16,000 per mile for any company that would build a mile's worth of intercontinental railroad across the country. $1 trillion of industry since then. Dwight Eisenhower built the interstate highway system, the single largest public works project to that time. But our highway infrastructure, which is why we're here today, is at a crossroads. Not just at I-20 and I-26, we're at a crossroads in terms of what we're going to do as a nation. I met two young engineering students here. One engineer, part of the National Society of Engineers. They estimate that we're going to need over $3 trillion worth of infrastructure to stay even with the rest of the world by the mid-20s. And Jim Clyburn, who I quoted down in the port of Charleston, I don't know anybody who's worked harder to try to put this state in a position to lead the country. You have one of the leading ports in America, and he's insisted that he understands better than most, better than anybody I work with, that if you have a port that is as vibrant as your port, but you have no intermodal connection, you don't have rail, you don't have highway connections that are modern, efficient, it doesn't matter a whole lot, because you got to get product off of that port and onto that port to export around the world. Jim and Steve know better than anyone that this project here has will have a profound positive impact on the city of Columbia and the region. That's why I think Mayor Hardy Davis from Augusta is here, at least I was told he might be here, because he understands it affects Augusta, Georgia, not just South Carolina. That's why I was told that Mayor Anderson from Lake City, and that's why Mayor Bill Johnson of Holly Hills, they get it. Everything is connected here. Folks, it's simple. We need the most modern infrastructure in the world to be able to continue to compete with the rest of the world. Or else business will go where they can get their product to market the quickest, the cheapest, most economically, and the safest. But folks, second reason why we should be talking about this is that modernization of our infrastructure creates jobs. Jobs you can live on, you can raise a family on, and jobs that start a virtuous cycle. They not only provide the job that builds the infrastructure, they in turn attract businesses to come because of the infrastructure, creating more jobs. So ladies and gentlemen, this is about growing the economy, generating growth in the community. And the fact of the matter is the construction of a bridge, road, a port attracts businesses from all over the world. Truckers driving those goods across the country, folks buying cars, eating at local diners. It goes on. It's a win-win for everyone. We used to all understand that. There didn't used to be any debate in the Congress or in the country about that. It seemed self-evident. But now there's a debate. But I think it's beginning to come to an end as they realize what we have to do. I don't need to tell any of you this interchange is one of the worst bottlenecks in the country. 4 times as much traffic goes through this interchange than did in 1969, but no increase in capacity. Lanes designed to handle 10 to 20 cars per mile now handle 40 cars per mile. 1,725 automobile accidents and trucking accidents in the last 3 years, all impacting on life, productivity, and opportunity. Owen still estimates that intersection adds 1 hour delay to every single shipment they put out. And you ask, well, what is 1 hour delay? It's a 1 hour delay for Owen. It's a 1 hour delay for every other outfit in this region trying to get through. That's real money. That's real money. You probably spent more quality time behind the wheel figuring out what you're going to do the rest of the day when you're stuck in traffic there than about any time in your day. In fact, as a consequence of this bottleneck and other problems across the entire state of South Carolina's highway system, the average driver in this state loses $1,000 a year just sitting in traffic. And traffic delays also have severe consequences for businesses. 84% of the goods that start out in South Carolina are shipped on the back of a truck. That means when highways are backed up, it takes longer for manufacturers to get the materials they need and to ship out the product they make. It takes longer to get finished products to the floor, to customers in the country and overseas. Ladies and gentlemen, every dollar that Owen Steel wastes in a traffic delay in every other business could be a dollar spent on expansion, development, marketing, salaries. Think about the higher fuel costs, overtime for truck drivers, lost productivity. All this means a lost opportunity for working families. And folks, why is this so important? The reason it's so important is America is coming back. We're about to see a new renaissance in this country on manufacturing and growth. And that is not hyperbole. There's an outfit called A.T. Kearney. It's one of the leading management firms in the world. They do a survey every year for the past 30-some years. They ask the 300 largest industrials in the world, where is the best place in the world to invest? This year, by a margin larger than any time the survey's been taken, they say the United States of America. Not only in manufacturing, but in IT, in the service industry, across the board. Secondly, there's an outfit that is in Boston called the Boston